Dear students, this is chapter number 3, Fluvial Geomorphology. This deals with the study of rivers and associated erosional as well as depositional landforms. This chapter is divided into two parts, 3A and 3B. Here 3A deals with the erosional landforms of fluvial action. In this chapter, which is the part of Unit 1 called Geomorphology. What is geomorphology? The study of surface feature of the earth. And this has been carved by the river, wind, glacier, even the wave action in the coastal areas. Evolution and structure of various landforms related to mountains, plains, plateau, valleys, and basins are specialized field of study within the geomorphology. The fluvial geomorphology consists of the river, and we know that river is the running water, which is most important agent of erosion on the continents, and the stream as well as valleys are the most common landforms. Rivers flowing to the ocean brings about 68% of the Earth's land surface. The remainder of the land either is covered by ice or drained to the closed basins. River gradually mold the land by eroding away the material in some places and depositing it in the other places. We know that the river system consists of a main channel that is called as a trunk stream and all the other tributaries that flow into it or join the main stream. A river system can be divided into three subsystems. Number one, collecting system, which have branches consisting of a network of tributaries in the headward region, collects and funnels water and sediment into the main stream. Second number, it is the transporting system consisting of trunk stream, the main trunk stream which functions as channelway through which the water and sediment moves from the collecting area towards the ocean. Erosion and deposition also occur in a river transporting system. The third is dispersing system, where whatever material has been carried will be dispersed in the sea through the roots and consist of a network of distributaries, not the tributaries, at the mouth of the river, which is called delta, where sediment and water are dispersed into an ocean, a lake, or sometimes dry basin. Now here is the system of sloping terrain. On this sloping terrain, there is a development of a stream, main stream. To this main stream, the tributary streams are meeting. These tributary streams are subsequent, whereas the main stream is nothing but the consequent stream. A consequent stream is a stream flowing the slope. Development of a slope may be due to sudden upliftment because of tectonic uplift also. Then the three remaining are the subsequent streams. A stream that develops later on, carving the softer rocks and flow at almost right angle to the original slope of the land. Now, erosional landforms, there are listed 7 landform types. You can see here, development of river valley, waterfalls, rapids, potholes, meander and alcoholic formation, landforms of the horizontal strata such as Nizine buttes, whereas the landforms of structural origin such as escarpment, dip slope, cuesta and albright. Now here, the development of river valley start from the sheet wash, that means the soil erosion. This sheet wash will be further eroded to the reel erosion, and the reels are developed, deepened to become gullies. The gullies are further deepened and widened to become valleys. Upper courses of the river consist of a V-shaped valley. This is the valley here, and this valley must have V-shape as well as some interlocking spurs can be seen over here. These are the interlocking spurs which can be seen in this V-shaped valley. Then also in this particular area, there is a formation of potholes, rapids, waterfalls. The main process at work is the downward or vertical erosion of the stream bed. This cuts into the landscape, deepening the valley sides. Now here you can see the formation of canyons. The valleys are deepened to become gorges, and gorges are further deepened. Vertical valleys, steep, very steep, almost 90 degree, up to 90 degree, you can say the canyons are developed. Here is an example of Grand Canyon, the biggest, deepest canyon. This is the Google image of that particular area, and here the field photograph showing a river and in which deep canyon has been created. This is the gorge. It is a narrow, deep passage with steep rocky sides, and it is a ravine type here. Now the formation of a waterfall. In this figure we can see this is the formation of a waterfall, sketch of this waterfall, and this is the sketch of the Niagara waterfall zone. Here we have the two lakes there. These are the streams, and this is the creation of the we can say gorge in the Niagara area. This gorge has been created in this particular area as in the form of Niagara Falls. So this type of formation we can see here has been there in the Niagara area, where vertical deep waterfalls have been created in this particular area. This is another example of a waterfall where successive waterfalls are there. The deepening of the area, sudden change in the gradient. Because of that, with the high kinetic energy, large kinetic energy and velocity, the water falls from the upper surface to the bedrock, which is lower, and the waterfalls are created. So this is another glimpse of the waterfall. Now the next feature, that landform that can be created in this area of the riverine terrain, and it is called as a pothole. In this figure you can see this is the bed, and in that bed a particular depression has been created. In this depression, the tools, the fragments of the rocks are there, and as soon as the water comes in this particular area, the eddy currents are generated. These eddies are responsible for swirling of these particles, and when these particles are swirl around, spin around that particular, we can say, eddy current, they will charge and they will attack on the side wall or bottom of that particular depression, and deepening and widening of that depression creates the formation of potholes. In this way, the potholes are generated. These are the examples of several potholes in this particular area. You can see here smaller potholes are there, bigger ones are there, smaller ones charged with the tools fragments. And when large number of waterfalls they join together, they combine together to form deep and very deep potholes in particular areas. The best example in Maharashtra you can have is the pothole of Nigoje area, which is the area in Ahmednagar district, where we have Ukadi River, a tributary of the Ghod River, has formed a deep, more than 20 feet deep water potholes have been created in this particular area. There are formation of another types of landforms called rapids. Rapids are stretches of a fast flowing water tumbling over a rocky, shallow riverbed. Different resistance among the rocks causes this type of formation of rapids. They are formed when the water goes from one hard rock that resists the water's erosion to a softer rock. So in this figure you can see that this is the softer rock, harder rock, and here is the softer rock, harder rock. Just minor undulation has been created in the path of the stream, and because of that, such rapids are formed. So these are the less resistant or softer, and these are the more resistant or harder rock. And in this way, the rapids can form. Another figure of the same rapids formation is there. This is the example actually, which is there in the hilly terrain, where the Himalayan terrain or many hilly regions in the world can have the formation of such a type of undulatory topography in the path bed of the river forms the rapids. Now here, when the valley is developed, V-shaped valleys are formed. These V-shaped valleys are further grown to the broad V-shape, and then they will be widened and widened, and there will be formation of a wide, you can say, floodplain. So this is the present channel, this is the floodplain, these are the tributaries, and this channel here was narrow, now it has become wider. Further, the erosion goes on increasing, and these wider channels may have been cut there, and there is a formation of a pair of the terrace on both the banks of the river. So there can be formation of terraces in the river system. So alluvial terraces formed from an increase in potential energy due to a change in base level, and such type of alluvial terraces in paired format can be developed, can be formed. Now look at the channels. They can be straight also. Within the channel, some meandering channel can also be developed. These meandering channels further grow and they become sinuous channel. So this is the sinuous channel. Further, the sinuous channels can be developed or grown into the meandering curve. This is the straight channel. Here is the meandering channel. The channel can become meander. Then there is a formation of meandering channels like this, and loops are grown. These loops, they will be finally ultimately meet to the sea, and some places there can be formation of the, you can say, oxbow. So these are paleo channels which are there in this particular area, and they have caused the formation of the oxbow lakes. Meanders. Look at the meandering channel here and the development of a loop. After a period of time, this loop gets cut off. There is a sedimentation in this zone, and this new channel will form, and this will be abandoned the channel, separated channel, and form the lake there known as Oxbow Lake. This is a huge meander we can see in this particular area has been developed. So look at the formation of Oxbow Lake. For earlier, the sinuous channel then has got a meandering loop, and this meandering loop has separated away, and formation of Oxbow Lake here. And here is the depositional feature, and the deposition has taken place to abandon, to block this channel, which is called as Oxbow Lake. Here are the examples of different formations of the Oxbow Lake in this particular area. Now we can see the first number is the lateral erosion on outside of the bends of a pronounced meander. Then we have narrow neck. Meander gradually becomes narrower. Neck is cut through by river during flood, and the river forms new straight channels. So this is the way we can say this is cut out. This is the Oxbow Lake formation. Here is the deposition where the channel has been totally separated. So deposition, Oxbow Lake formation, and new channel formation. These are the things that can be seen in this particular area of formation of the Oxbow Lakes. There is another type of river system which can be called as anastomosing system, where the sinuous channels are usually combined together. They have a number of sinuous channels, having the curved path in the river channel, and then when these large number of channels have been joined together and vegetative islands have been developed there, such type of the canals or streams can be called as anastomosing streams. Now, if the horizontal strata is there, in that horizontal strata, this is actually the consequent stream, and these are all different subsequent streams. So when subsequent streams have cut across a plateau-shaped rock block of the horizontal strata, it forms the mesa. And if it is a narrow one, small hillock, then it forms the flume. There is a development of a badland topography because of the stream erosion, and there can be development of a plain region also. Here is the formation of a canyon we can see, and vertical cliffs as well as plateaus are developed in this particular area. So this is the example of a mesa, another example of a butte. Now if the landform is of inclined strata, then this inclined strata may have deep in this direction and deep also in this direction. So this is the deep slope, and this is the another, we can say, slope here. This is the formation of escarpment in this particular area. This is the escarpment. So here the escarpment and here is the deep slope. Deep slope is there, escarpment is there. In this, the deep slope is very steep and the escarpment is also there. So if such a situation is there, it can be called as the cuesta. Whereas this is a situation where the steep dipping deep slope is there, where the dip is about more than 45 degrees, then it can be called as hogback. So horizontal strata forms the mesas and butte, whereas inclined strata with the dip slope and escarpment slope forms the cuesta when gentle sloping inclination is there. But if steeply dipping inclination is there and even the escarpment is towards forming the ridge-like structure, it can be called as hogback. Here the mesa and butte type of structures can be clearly seen. So the structural escarpment, the scarp which constitute the front slope of a cuesta. Cuesta is nothing but the gently dipping rock which has the abrupt escarpment on the up dip side, that is opposite to the dip slope, and have gentle slope known as cuesta. But if the steep slope is there, then it can be called as hogback. So here are the photographs that shows escarpment surfaces on the top left and bottom right. You can see the formation of a hogback type of structure with more steeper dipping dip slope, and this is the escarpment surface. Again, the view of escarpment surface, hogback, how the steep hogbacks can be there. So fluvial erosion has three different facets: destruction of bedrock, erosion of a channel bank, breaking down of a smaller fragment of the fragments in the bedrock. Now we have several different types of union of the tributary streams and form the drainage pattern. So dendritic drainage pattern is the first type of drainage pattern in which tree-like branchings are clearly seen. Irregular branching pattern, tree-like. It is common in massive and flat-lying areas due to strong resistance of rock. Headward development of the valley is negligible here. The second type of the drainage pattern is called as a parallel. Here the streams are almost parallel to each other, parallel to subparallel drainage form on sloping surfaces, common in terrain with homogeneous rock. Development of a parallel reels, gullies or narrow channels are commonly seen on gently sloping surfaces. Another type of drainage pattern can be called as radial drainage pattern. Look at this drainage pattern. We have seen that there is a certain central elevation here and all the streams are moving in all other directions. Here there can be the formation of moons, hills or hillocks, and here the streams radiate out from the common center of the topographic height. The example is volcanic terrain. Rectangular type of drainage pattern. It is a typical 90-degree turn of the streams can be clearly seen. Channels are marked by right angle bend, commonly due to presence of joints and fractures. Such type of the drainage pattern can develop. Another type of drainage pattern, look at this drainage pattern again, which is looking to be rectangular but having somewhat typically different. Rectangular arrangement of channels in which principal tributary streams are parallel and very long, while like the vines and train on a trellis. This pattern is common in areas where the outcropping edges of folded sedimentary rocks, both weak and resistant rocks form parallel narrow belts. The next one, it is a annular type of a drainage pattern where the circular drainage pattern has been developed there. This is the central hill and streams are moving away from the center. Streams follow nearly circular or concentric path along belts of weak rocks that ring a dissected dome or basin where erosion has exposed successive belts of rocks of varying degree of erodibility. The last type of the drainage pattern is called as a centripetal drainage pattern. You can see here in the center there is a depression basin where all the streams from all the other directions have brought the sediment as well as water. The channels are filling the water over here. This is the depression, this is the elevated region, and such type of drainage pattern can be called as a centripetal. Streams converge towards a central depression such as a volcanic crater or caldera. A structural basin can also be there, and vent domes are there as well as basins created by dissolution of the carbonated rocks. So this is the completion of this chapter 3A, and 3B we are going to continue in the next lecture. Thanks.